J-Mats here once again with a look back at round 2. On this I kept a hand with only 2 creatures, but I knew that the Aether Adept would buy time to get to the Rhino, and it just seemed like a good combination there. I don't know. It isn't the strongest hand in the world, but when you have a very clear vision of what you're going to do with that hand, I just lucked into a Cudgel Troll, which also gives me a turn 3. Seeing these play in red makes me a little bit cautious with the Cudgel Troll, because Incinerate might be coming, but at the same time, is that really the end of the world? And here, he didn't present anything to Aether Adept yet, so I'm not going to play it. Otherwise it would return itself, because I don't think it's a may, I think it's a must. Oh, the Bad Bear. Which is not actually that bad, but at this point, no reason not to put out the troll and just see what happens. Anytime you can get a Cudgel Troll out and laying down a beating early, that's a good thing. This is the first time I've had a chance to play with Hunter's Insight, which, after playing with it, is not as broken as I thought it was when I just read the card list, but can lead to some incredible blow-ups. The problem is, normally by the time you're willing to cast it or wanting to cast it, you're having a lot of creature combat. You're not getting stuff through. And the thing that I always forget and I need to remember is, even if I'm just getting through for 2, even if it's, just divination, it's still quality card draw. 2 for 3 is still good. I always think, well, oh, there's the Incinerate, like I said. But now he's spent or used up at least one of his burn spells. Let's see if he has an answer for a Rhino, who very soon might be a regenerating, trampling Rhino. And who knows, maybe he has Chandra's Outrage. I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of this video, but these were recorded earlier, so I do know the outcome of this match, but I don't really remember the specifics. It's been a couple days. Actually, when I recorded this, it was right after I got my wisdom teeth out. So, although for Draft Diary I have said that I want to have a very focused gameplay, this was a little bit wishy-washy on that. I mean, I was trying my best, but anytime you're on painkiller medication, it can be a little bit hard to focus. On the flip side of that, because I was recovering, I had very little people, people were leaving me alone, letting me rest, and so I didn't have those distractions affecting my gameplay. And at this point, hold on a second. No, it looks like I was just waiting for him to play. I thought maybe I got disconnected. I think at some point it disconnected on me and I lost some time. But I can't remember which one of the rounds it was. But I went back and looked at the preview, and it looked like shortly after this he started doing things again. Maybe I'm wrong, but who knows. In the meantime, I can talk a little bit about the project. I feel like Draft Diary has really helped me focus on my gameplay, has helped me improve, not necessarily in results yet, but even just recording this. In the last game, I went through and I watched and I saw a number of times where my theoretical play didn't actually match what I did, and I don't know, it just makes me start to wonder, like when I traded that Drake with the Dusk Hunter bat, was that the right play? Probably not. Did it end up not hurting me? No, it didn't, but that doesn't mean I should have. On the other hand, keeping your Aether Adept back to mount something a little bit more dangerous than a Dusk Hunter bat, which did not get Bloodthirst, is not a bad call either. So I'm not saying I made necessarily the right call or the wrong call on that. I just don't think it's that easy to judge which call I made or how the call was. I'm looking here and wondering. I think he must start playing pretty soon. Oh, yeah. I reminded him he was having connection problems. That's what was happening. Now it's coming back to me. There was one time when mine was disconnecting and like the clock was ticking off, but it looked like his clock was ticking off, but it was actually my clock. I think he might have been in a situation like that. So there he goes. He reconnects, and we're back to business. Otherwise, it was really a lot of thought for one brindle bore. So he troll hides. Two can play at that game. The great thing is I know now that I can Aether Adept and bounce that right off of him, which is the danger of auras if you don't have the benefit of hexproof. And then, if I remember at this point, I use the Hunter's Insight, because drawing 4 cards to restock my hand seemed like a way to just pretty much end it, and there's no way that he can kill my creature at this point. So I know I'm going to get 4 damage and 4 cards. And sure enough. But I think, we'll have to see with the rest of the video, I think that was as good as it got. And while I like to get the looter to start cycling, it wasn't that powerful of a draw, but it got me 4 cards deeper, which means 4 cards closer to something that might be powerful. And then here, just pacify the threat. And do I troll hide or do I adaptive automaton? I support that decision, knowing that I'll get through for 8. And that I have regeneration mana. He doesn't have bounce because he's not playing blue. He only has burn. He would have to have incinerate plus something else to force me to not be able to regenerate it. So at that point, the trampling really does become pretty powerful. Now here, playing the automaton, and do I go wizard? By doing that, it makes neither block profitable. So instead of getting 1 extra damage to trample, I'm able to get 3 extra damage, or in this case, he chumps, he sacrifices, gains his life, but it just made it a chump instead of a trade, which is what I was looking for out of that. And now he's at the point in life where he really wonders what he could play, and I would kind of wonder the same thing. What could you play that could win it for you? And the answer is nothing. And going to the sideboard once again. The Aether Adepts did their job. Blue is working out really well as a color to pair with green. And knowing that he has the troll hides, I like the idea of being able to bounce. The mind control has some good things to take. So I'll go into game 2. And this is a keepable hand. It's not the best in the world. I don't know when you're ever going to actually hear me say this is the best hand in the world, but the thing I like about it is it has double blue, which means if I get to an Aether Adept, and wow, drawing into Lana War Elf was pretty great because it just made what was an okay hand into a above average hand, I would say. Being able to go Elf, Wolf, and Rhino a turn earlier is a significant difference in speed. And also next turn, not that I am suspecting something intimidating to come down, but if something does, because he's going to be at 4, where, some better threats are possible. That's not what I was looking for, but if he did, Oblivion Ring in hand is always good. Then the question becomes, am I willing to trade a Sacred Wolf for a Brindle Boar? And without any Troll Hides in hand, and knowing that I have 2 other Sacred Wolves plus the Aven, so I have multiple hexproof creatures. At this point, I am. He's not gaining the life if he does that, and I know that I have a Rhino on its way who, if you can clear the way for the Rhino, there's 2 of the 4 damage that he would have needed. He's now lost that. And there's 2 more, so if he had both of those, he'd be able to stop my Rhino. But now he cannot. And the Looter would have been a possibility to even do on my turn to see what I would draw into, but at end of turn is not bad. Ooh, Outrage on the Rhino. That hurts a little bit. See if we can draw into something more land, but still, it's deck thinning. And do a little there's another Rhino. From here, you get the Monolith out. In the land I considered playing, but I think I probably end up using the Looter again to cycle. Now that is a card I hate. I mean, I love to have, but I hate for my opponent to have. A little army of Saproleans can get nasty in a hurry. And here it kind of becomes a question of whether to get the threat on board or whether it's better to remove his threat. Part of that depends on what I can pair with it. And I was going to say I would probably play the Oblivion Ring, and it looks like that's what I did. If he gets an untap, he could be up to 4 of those tokens, or 3 of those tokens, but 2 additional. And it looks like I have enough to cast both that and the Rhino, which is very nice. I didn't realize that when I was looking at it at first. And then the Murph, So the Mage returns. This may be the game where I ended up realizing how much I disliked that mage. We'll have to see, but if he ends up making a ton of them and I end up losing, then we'll all know that this is why I hate the Jade Mage. Just as we're playing this, a couple things I have noticed about the set. Probably write this in the article, but like I said, Oblivion Ring is probably what I consider the most powerful card, or at least what you will first pick, or should first pick if you see it, because there are so many diverse threats that it answers. And mind control, I like it, but I don't like that stave off can get rid of it. That's one of my biggest complaints about it. Because, I mean, stave off is powerful on its own, and when you're, or even if it's just protecting your creatures, when it's doing stuff to other creatures, it can be such a blow-up situation if they stave off, get their creature back, and then do something nasty to you. I had this game the other night, now that I'm not really paying attention to my own game, I had this game the other night where I was playing NMS draft, and I got 3 corrupted consciences, which I thought was pretty much, game over, whatever. It was an 8-4 draft, lost in round 2, didn't see a single one of them in either of my games, but that was an oddity. I mean, mind control still is one of the most powerful effects in the game, but I don't know. Every time I see it, I think, oh, well, good game. Here comes, John for the victory. And it's, you need to remember that no one card will win it for you. And that's where I really like the Aether Hideout, because it's such a good role player. It will not win it for you, but it will definitely help you win. Another card that I would like to mention is Arachnus Web. And I don't think it shows up in the video here, or maybe anywhere, but I've had a lot of success with it also. The thing I love is it is not destroyed until end of turn. So I've even put it on creatures who already have over 4 toughness just to make them so they can't block for that turn. And I've won games because of that. So it is a more diverse threat than I at first thought. Ugh. Well, at least we have that pacifism, but it still is not looking terribly pretty. They have so much life. I'm kind of assuming we lose this game. I have to go to a game 3, but I may be wrong. I've been known to be wrong. And getting a hexproof flyer never hurts your chances. That's a point where you didn't want land, and that's a great thing about the, I guess, chump blocker is better than land. Maybe not a whole lot better, but better. And what, we're on a 7-turn clock if we can't get something to block, so that's not going to help us a whole lot, especially since he soon can make an army of saprolines if he so desires. And here he basically is offering up the trade of Aether Adips for Bonebreaker, and I'm not quite ready to take it. Just going to let my chump blocker hold the ground for a moment. And the reason for that is if I end up drawing into like Cudgel Troll, here we go, Mind Control. Just talked about it. But even looking here, I'm wondering if I'm taking the wrong creature. I'm taking that Saproline producer. Because he'll be able to chump block that thing forever. And I think I would have been better off taking the control position and stole that so I could chump block his forever. And actually, with the amount of mana I have, I could chump +1. But that might have been an instance of misidentification of role recognition where I thought I was the aggressor in this matchup, and I was not yet at that point. Oh, I was going to say. Oh, and that was the time. Yeah, it's embarrassing that I lose this game because he just Titanic Growth my Aether Adept instead of his Jade Mage, and so he actually made my guy survive. And yet, I still find a way to lose this. Now I kind of remember that. Because out comes... That's right, the 12/12 Flying Dragon. How could I forget about his giant flying dragon? So that gives me a turn, but allows me to buy a turn with my flyer blocking, but wow, I forgot about that guy. That's how you lose that game. Even when they screw up, they still win. And so, kind of knowing that I'm going to get to game 3, I mean, I kind of knew that just looking at the time of the video and how long it was taking. You can probably do the same thing when you just look at a video and it's like over 30 minutes long. It probably was a best out of 3 matchup instead of just a 2-0 victory one way or another. Oh, and that was a lovely draw on Ponder. Maybe I should just draw that forest. Maybe it's best. No. There's Insight, so is there anything that I could attack into? At this point, he has destroyed my Bolivian Ring, and my pacifism is already on there, and my mind control is used up. So I know that the 3 tricks I actually have are gone. But if I troll hide on that Aven, then I'd be able to block, at least temporarily. problem is I don't think I have anything that will get me through that guy. I mean, in all honesty, a 12-12 wall, flying wall, it's going to shut down most decks. And the 3 cards that I have that answer that. Oh, and I'm at 1 life at this point, so it doesn't even matter. Because I'd have to double block, and this Saproling token kills me. That's right. So here he goes. And he wasn't too overly greedy. So it's not to go for the win. Alright, because he can regenerate it, so that kills it. I still probably would have attacked with a Saproling, knowing that I would have to regenerate and would only have 1 green left up. There isn't a whole lot that I would have been able to do, but that's a more conservative play. Obviously a lot more conservative than I would make. And here, I think I just decided to attack, hoping to draw into an answer, or several answers. I have a feeling I don't get it. Yeah. So that's a good game there. And it makes me wonder if there's anything in the sideboard that I can do. I mean, oh, do I do the radical change? I guess I do. I knew at one point I did this, switched in my black. Knowing that he's playing green-red, those death marks are going to kill about half his creatures. Doomblade is an answer to one of his creatures. Just like Mind Control is, except Mind Control, I knew he had the Naturalize, so it would still be sitting out there. Doomblade will just get rid of him. Yeah. And that is an ugly keep. If there's ever been one. I mean, the Death Mark is the only saving grace of that, but if I don't get a forest shortly, this hand's a disaster. And the Plains makes it. Yeah, it's still kind of a disaster. And he's just ramping mana, so without an aggressive start, and with me having a very slow start, there's the forest. It allows me to be a little bit more aggressive, especially knowing that death mark, if he plays a green creature, I can clear that. And I'm not that far from Sengir mana. Here's a place where the hexproof wolf just needs to be traded. That one did make the right decision, because he's going to get 4, and I'm going to have to block him next turn anyway, so let's not make it 6. Here with 5 cards. Oh yes, the basilisks, which is a great thing to kill with Death Mark. But getting an airborne vampire seems like the right play to me. And then it would be nice if I had had 3 black there and could have killed it that turn also. The problem with a vampire is if anything just screams for Chandra's Outrage, it would be a 4/4 flyer. And I can't remember whether he ends up having a big bullseye on his chest or not. Ooh, double basilisk. So then it becomes more tempting to like Oblivion Ring 1 and Death Mark 1. Not necessary. The other thing is if you get the automaton out, you can make that Singular out of Chandra's Outrage reach, which I think is the play I did. Get him up to a 5/5. That also means 5 turns of attacking and he wins. And might as well kill a Basilisk. Keep back. Doomblade mana. Nope. Because I was not fearing. I don't even know what. Volcanic Dragon with haste. I do know he has that 1 dragon, so holding the 2 of my removal spells that would actually answer that is a good idea at this point. Instead, it's Ogre that just doesn't scare me. And with this, I can put him on a 2-turn clock with my vampire. And not only is he on a 2-turn clock, but I also have a 3-turn clock. But I mean, yes, use your Incinerate on that guy, not on my 6/6 flying regenerator. And having Doomblade mana up is great in case he decides or tries to do some sort of trickery. And I think what I was doing here is waiting to see whether he had maybe a Hunter's Insight. I mean, first of all, if he had a Hunter's Insight, I would want to kill it. Second of all, if he was putting out his dragon, which he was 1 mana away from. Ooh, and that is a great target for a Doomblade. Always like to kill Titans. Even though he gets 2 land, but hey, this isn't Zendikar block. I'm not worried about Valakut. Ooh, but he does have a Rootbound Crag. It might be over. And so then it's kind of this debate as to what could he do that could win it with the cards he has in hand, and what is more likely to stop him from winning it. I ended up deciding on the Rhino, because I figured that even if he could Chandra's Outrage, that would deal 2 to me. He can deal 7 to me, but that would only get him to 9, so he'd have to have 2 either pump or direct damage. And instead, that was just good game and game over. So 2-0 at this point. Let's see if we can make it 3-0.